FastCast movies. So HBO had a new movie this week, Nocturnal Animals. Now I remember being interested in this movie from the preview. It also was a little, I guess, controversial when it came out. It's Tom Ford. You know who that is. I guess that means something. I did not know. I don't think I've seen anything else by him. The writer and director. What's interesting about this movie is twofold. One, the way that it's told, and two, the way that it ends, which I will spoil at the end. I'll tell you when it's going to be time for that. So the main thrust of this movie is that you've got Amy Adams, who is in her mid-40s, it seems. She's kind of a socialite, rich, well-to-do, runs a museum, but is unfulfilled in her life. She receives a manuscript from her ex-husband for a novel that he's been writing, and then she begins reading it, and at that point the movie sort of splits, and we're following a dramatized telling of this novel, and then jumping back up to the real world to sort of see how the reading of this novel is affecting Amy Adams. About midway through, we introduce sort of a third track where we go back to see what Amy Adams' relationship was like with this ex-husband before they broke up. So that's the how is it told, which I thought was really, really super interesting. The juxtaposition of sort of murder, mystery, revenge story inside the book, when put against sort of her life in the real world, I thought made for some really compelling watching. The instigating event in the book, which is this sort of family driving through West Texas, hillbillies run them off the road, and then there's like a whole kind of nastiness thing that happens, was really excellent. And in fact, I've seen some commentary that the scene where they're sort of assaulting them on the side of the highway is one of the most suspenseful put to film in probably the last 10 years, and I would agree with that. It kind of makes your skin crawl. There's this whole thing, and it ends up this revenge plot where the character in the book, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, goes sort of on a revenge tear to try and capture this group of kids. And the ex-husband is also played by Jake Gyllenhaal. It's one of those movies where it's not entirely clear if that's her putting her thoughts into it, or if that is sort of like, if the assumption is that the character in the book is supposed to be somewhat autobiographical. I think it is. So let's talk about the ending. So spoiler alert. The movie has two endings. The first is when the story inside the book ends, where you've got the husband who sort of goes out on revenge spree. They managed to catch two of the three guys who did this to his wife and daughter, one of whom died in like a completely different heist. But it looks like they're gonna get off. And so this cop, who's got nothing to lose, says like, if you're on board, we can go capture these guys and take justice into our own hands. And the Jake Gyllenhaal character says sure. In the course of this night, one of the kids gets shot by the cop, the other one gets shot by Jake Gyllenhaal, but not before he smashes him in the head with a tire iron. And so Jake Gyllenhaal sort of shoots his kid, but gets knocked out, wakes up, can't see, sort of stumbles out into the world, and then falls on the gun and shoots himself and dies. So no fulfillment there. But we're now moving on to the story of the world, where Amy Adams, she's texted this ex-husband and said, oh my God, your novel is amazing. I'm so glad that you managed to finish this story. It's so great. We should totally meet up and have a drink and discuss it, because she's kind of a little bit ill at ease with her current marriage. And he says sure. And then the second ending is where she goes to meet him at the restaurant and he stands her up. Again, no resolution there. If you ask me what does this movie mean, I don't know that I have an answer to that yet. I'm really still sort of sitting with it, because what it's saying and how it's saying it are so their own thing that I don't think it's important. To me, at least, it's not important to know what the movie is saying, because the way that it's saying whatever it's saying is so stylish and so interesting and so compelling that I couldn't stop watching. So anyway, if that sounds like your kind of thing, I highly recommend this movie. However, if watching tight-knit family get torn apart, and some of them murdered, in a really, honestly, not incredibly graphic, but incredibly suspenseful and anxiety-producing way, maybe don't watch it. Like I told my wife, you would like the way this movie is made because some of the writerly aspects of it and the novel-esque sort of feeling, but the subject matter you wouldn't like it. So that's Nocturnal Animals. I think I'd give it about an A-, because I still don't know what I think about it, but I know that it was really well done. FastCast Movies, see ya! Hey, thanks for watching the FastCast. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter at Mr. J Handle, and check back, because I do this a couple times every week. FastCast!